It's all you, baby.
Hey everybody, welcome to AKA Geeks. This is the movie of the week. I'm your host, Sean. With me I have Lynn
What's up,
and
everybody?
Brenden.
Hi.
Look, he's here.
Yes, for a review. And this is a special review because we haven't done a opening weekend review of a movie in, I don't know, like
Opening
a
day.
year.
I don't think we've ever done opening day.
Yeah. So this is special. This is awesome. I'm very happy with this one.
Yeah.
The movie we're reviewing is SpiderMan Homecoming. So let's get to it, you guys. Let me read a little bit of something about this. Several months after the events of Captain America: Civil War, Peter Parker, with the help of his mentor Tony Stark, tries to balance his life as an ordinary high school student in Queens, New York City, while fighting crime as a superhero alter ego Spider-Man. As a new threat, the Vulture emerges. This was directed by John Watts. It's starring Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, Robert Downey Jr., Marissa Tomei, Jon Favreau, Gwyneth Paltrow even has some screen time. The main people in there, that was Zendaya and Jacob Batalon. So tell me, you guys, Brenden, give me some positives.
Yeah.
What'd you like?
It was awesome. It was funny. I especially liked that a lot of the trailer stuff got changed in the movie, so
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing the same. It was the same scenes but different lines and stuff. I like that. I'll get into other stuff. Friggin' awesome Spider-Man. I was really happy with the fact that when they did two villains, I was afraid it was going to be like Amazing Spider-Man 2 type, but he was like a side thing, and it was just brand new, and he wasn't like, oh, I'm the villain too. He was just basically he was just an assistant essentially.
You're talking
like
about the Shocker. You're talking about
Shocker,
the Shocker, right?
yeah.
And then not only that, there was
And then
two.
there was two Shockers, but then also that they had
And they
Scorpion.
they killed the white one.
Yeah, and they killed one. The black one made it to the end of the movie.
Well, they also not only did they have the Scorpion, which I thought was pretty cool, and it's a nice setup
Yes.
for the next one.
Yes.
Or if they tend to use that for which none of this will be Sinister Six, I hope. But I mean, it's a good follow up to see where it's going from here. But I also saw another villain teased in the Stark Tech. Did you guys catch that?
Which
I'll get
Okay.
into it a little bit.
Okay.
Let
Go
Brendan
ahead.
finish his positives.
They nailed high school.
Oh yeah.
They nailed that
Yeah, they did.
really, really well.
Especially a
there's a lot
smart
of,
school.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff that I liked. Like the Captain America school stuff, because it wasn't Captain America, but I remember shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, I really liked it.
Lynn, tell us some of the things you like. I'm sure we'll get more as we start talking about it more. Some of the stuff that Brendan, it'll start flowing right
Yeah.
out of him like poetry. Go ahead, Lynn.
Dude, like Brendan, I agree. Tom Holland's to me is the epitome of fucking Peter Parker in every shape or form. Both dual identities and what have you, he just nailed perfectly. I love the whole atmosphere. I love the homage to John Hughes
Yes.
films in this film. Even in certain scenes where you actually see John Hughes films played in the background.
Yeah.
It was fucking hysterical. The feel was very lighthearted. My son had a freaking blast watching this morning. He hated waking up real early for it, but because we went to a 9:30 show, and so we were there like
Yeah,
first
theaters open at 9:30. Holy cow!
9:30 was the first showing,
Ours was
and
How was the theater at 9:30 a.m.?
it had a few people, wasn't packed. You know, I didn't expect it to be. It was still silent. A couple early kids, like little kids or what have you. So my son wasn't the only young kid there, but it was pretty good overall as far as the
Okay.
crowd. The crowd really enjoyed itself. I mean, yeah, there's so much in this movie that was just so right.
So, what other kind of positive things? Anything?
I love how it bookend itself. The entire movie bookends itself into Civil War so perfectly, it's not even funny. Considering that it starts off right before the battle at the airport and it ends right before the ending of the new complex when Tony walks away from the Avengers at the new facility. So it bookends itself perfectly into that whole entire movie without, making itself like feel wedged in there, like have to be carried by Civil War. It was perfectly done.
Oh,
while
I
still
remember
being a
something else.
standalone.
I love Karen.
Go ahead.
Karen, yeah, Karen.
Love
Can I call you Karen?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Karen, when she's like, now's the time, kiss her.
Peter.
Oh my god, that was great.
Yeah.
You know who she reminded me
great.
of? Weebo
Who?
That
from
sounds
Flubber.
familiar. Yeah, okay.
I think a lot of our viewers wouldn't know who that
I haven't
is.
seen that movie in years.
It's been a
Yeah.
while.
But just the tone, the way she talked, and that whole line felt
Yeah.
Weebo to me.
And there's been hints and suggestions that the whole purpose of Karen will be that she'll become, because in the comics there was a female android like the Vision, who was built from Ultron, but she actually defied Ultron, became an Avenger. Her name was Jocasta, and Jocasta was one of the AIs that Tony Stark had. So they're saying that Jocasta probably was reprogrammed for the spider suit, hence why her name is now Karen.
Okay.
I think
She didn't have
I
one.
think either that or she's just going to be his spider sense.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
I
who
was
does
thinking
her,
it's
her
hard
voice,
to-
right?
It's Jennifer Connelly.
It's Jennifer Connelly, who's an '80s teen film
She's a heartthrob.
regular. Yeah, she was like,
Oh yeah, now that I know, now I hear it.
Jennifer Connelly's still a heartthrob. She's beautiful.
she's
Her voice was awesome. Her
And-
voice, her
yeah,
perfect voiceover. I loved it. She was very. She brought some life to the character of Karen and made Karen feel like more than AI. Karen is AI, but to obviously
just like
Jarvis, there are going to be certain things
who
that's
in real
but-
life they're
But
together.
she feels like a person, a character, a real person that's giving
Yeah.
thought. And one of my favorite parts from Karen is when she was like, when he's like, what if she doesn't like me? He's like, well, Peter, if I was her, I think she would be very regretful if she doesn't like you. Yada yada yada. You're a wonderful, amazing guy. And I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome. She's like building him up and helping him become a confident person. And he's like, well, thanks.
She got
Karen, I
a
appreciate
crush on Spider-Man.
Yeah. I love what Tom Holland was able to do was he was able to grab some of the stuff from Tobey Maguire and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was super like awkward type of Peter Parker.
in the first
Yeah,
two.
and then
I think if you took Tobey Maguire out of high school and put him as a post-high school Spider-Man, it would have been perfect. He did not fit in high school.
and then
Yeah.
what Andrew Garfield was like a little bit smart cracking, smart ass, but almost a little too hip and too cool. Tom Holland did a perfect merge of everything that you want to see from Spider-Man. He had his mouth that was constantly going, whether it was him being a smartass or just being like he was orating like what he was doing. And
See, I don't even want to do that to him, degrading him and comparing him to the previous two, because they did their own thing, yes, and they both had their positives and negatives. But I think as far as from book to screen, he was the perfect overall choice, and it seems like he got a lot more of the feel of what the character was written down by a lot of different authors, including Brian Michael Bendis, which is where they got the story for Homecoming.
I mean, you can compare them. It's not like it's
yeah, no, but I don't
I'm
want
just
to.
saying-
I think he brought his own thing overall.
yeah.
is what I'm
What
saying.
Toby did with his Spider-Man, what Andrew did with his Spider-Man, what Tom did with his version of Spider-Man was, I felt like the best all-around Spider-Man. He was doing the stuff where he was like a motor mouth kind of kid. He was doing the stuff where he didn't know what to do with himself as a person, as a teenager. He was, and at the same time he was doing his thing as Spider-Man, and he's not a pro, so he'd make mistakes here and there or get overconfident and make mistakes and have some follies. What he did as Spider-Man was awesome, and his acting as Spider-Man was really, really good. Aunt May, I loved this version of Aunt May. I love this version of Aunt May. Hot Aunt May, freaking Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah,
But
she's definitely.
see,
got the
I also
grandma
like that
butt,
she
though.
was like, "Ew, Tony Stark is gross."
Yeah, but you know she likes when he was smoozing with her over there eating her
well, no,
walnut date
when
loaf.
but when they're at the restaurant and the one kid's hitting
Yeah,
on
that was
her,
so funny. And he
uh,
winks. Oh, that was so funny.
so awkwardly too,
Tom Holland
man.
was,
It's
I
not
think
even.
he think he loves you.
He loathes
Yeah.
you.
I thought I loved Aunt May. I thought she did a great job of being that protector, that one that cares about him, truly loves him, but also being an aunt still, like being able to take him to a party and trust him to make a good decision about what he's doing there. But
Yeah.
being a protective figure, because she's like, if you see something like that, you run away. You know, but at the same time, she's still trying to teach him how to dance with the girl when he's going to the dance. They try to tie his tie and show him what to wear and how to talk to her. I'm assuming as well during that little montage. So I
Yeah, that whole montage when she was doing that for him, getting him ready for the homecoming dance. I kept looking over at my kid because he's not that far away from teenage years. He's just 4.5 years from hitting 13.
hop, skip, and a jump away. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy crap, man.
Yeah, well, she did a wonderful job with that character, and it's as much as, again, this is a different Aunt May from what we've seen previously, and you had the Sally Fields Aunt May, and then you have the original Aunt May from the Tobey Maguire ones. I'm glad she wasn't a rickety old woman that was doing what we saw over there, and she was more in tune with Peter as an aunt. It made more sense to me based on the age range of what Peter was, Tom, in this film versus she's probably in her. I mean, what is Marissa Tomei in real life? What, in her 50s? And she she still is an amazing woman. She did a great job with the character. And then one of the good things about this film that I really liked, and Brennan already touched on some stuff, Lynn already touched on stuff, we haven't touched on this, is Michael Keaton's Vulture. I loved what as the villain in this, because he was so driven by providing for his family, and it wasn't on that note, it wasn't destroying anything. It was provided. It was all his source for going forward with what he's doing is to provide for his family, and to me that's a better reason, because he believes in it versus I want to dominate New York City or whatever. I want to be the kingpin, whatever. I loved his reason behind it.
On that note, I love the fact that the reasons behind it also introduced a pivotal character arc that nobody else would get, was the fact that they brought in damage control.
Yeah.
Which in the comics it's a goofy book, and then it was taken a little bit more seriously. But they made them like the big brother, big bad, hey, we're taking this over from him. It gave him credibility of, okay, it makes perfect sense for him, because not only, like I was telling my son, not every villain is bad in a sense, and that's what Michael Keaton was. You didn't see him as bad. He was taking care of the guys that worked for him as well as his own family.
Yeah, it's almost like
the guys.
It's almost like Magneto in a sense. Like in Magneto's perspective, what he's doing to help his mutant kind is he's a good guy. In Keaton's eyes, Keaton's character, his Vulture character, is
he saw himself as having a purpose.
Yes,
to doing
and he's not a bad guy, even though he accidentally kills one person.
And the other thing he was doing, he said, don't do it. Don't do it out of the way. Be discreet. Don't shoot your guns out in public, because you don't want stuff like that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to destroy anybody or be like the kingpin or anything, but he was trying to support his family and do it in a way that I believe up until that mishap, when that mishap happened, because it was either him and his family going down the drains because the guy rats them out, or he hurts him enough to threaten him enough to make him scared, and then he accidentally killed
the gravity gun. He wasn't trying to kill.
Yeah, he actually thought it was the wrong gun. So you knew that he was not hardcore.
Yeah, and he realized though in his head though, like you saw that he wasn't too affected by killing the guy, and I think it was because no matter what, he's protecting his family.
Yeah, he knew he was gonna have
and everybody else.
Yeah, and so I loved his character. The villain was Michael Keaton. I mean, I love Michael Keaton. That dude, he has so many little intricacies in how he acts and what he does things, how he moves his eyebrows and whatnot, and how he throws a line out there. It's he's a great actor, and I can't wait to see in the future because of what we saw in this film, of what's going to happen with this character versus also what happens with Scorpion in this movie.
Yeah, I love that at the end when he's confronted and he's like, we know you know who he is. And he's like, if I knew who he was, he'd be dead right now. So even though
Peter Parker.
he's considered
he understood.
Yeah, he was like, not only that, it was more like, okay, first he saved my daughter's life. I saved his life by not shooting him. Then he turns around for me not shooting him. He still saves my life when I was trying to kill him. So I'm not going to just leave him out.
Well, I also took it as Spider-Man did what he had to do to protect his family.
And it's a mutual respect. It's like a what's it called? A thieves honor or whatever it's called.
Well, that's why I like his speech.
It's a code.
Like the speech he gave him in the warehouse. He's like, I get you. He's like, I'm just trying to help my family. I also like
we're a lot alike.
The dad talk scene. Oh, that was scary.
That was scary.
Scary.
He put the gun right on the headrest, and you could see Holland did a great job with that scene. It was like you could feel like his fear at that moment.
But when he first opened the door to the house, and it's revealed that he's Liz's father, and out of nowhere you see his face just drop, and he's like staring at him.
Literally
and he's
doesn't know how to process
no reason to be. Yeah, he's like, I should be beating your ass right now, or I should be like running for my life right now. You see all those thoughts going in his head while he's in this home.
Like, what do I do? What do I do?
Exactly. How do I get out of this, or how do I not reveal that I'm who I am?
Yeah,
and of course Liz goes and fucks it all up.
Now that's good directing, but it's also just really great acting and chemistry between Michael Keaton and Tom Holland. I love that stuff that happened there.
I also liked how when he was in the house, he had no idea. He was being a typical dad. And then when he's like that turn, that real slow, wait a fucking minute. Oh, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
This
like
that was coincidence.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that scene also shows that he's a good guy, because if he was a villain, he would have killed friggin' Peter right there. He wouldn't have cared who he did it in front of. He would have killed Peter right then and there.
Exactly.
But once he realized that he saved his daughter, he's like, that was the respect point too.
Yeah, and also
that also leads to one of the reasons I don't like about this movie, because I'm not 100%. I do have little negatives.
Okay, hold on to those for a minute.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like this movie. Okay. But we'll get to.
So I want to continue talking about some positives. I also have I love what I've seen from Robert Downey Jr. and his character of Tony Stark and Iron Man, where he started in the MCU to where he is now, and what he showed us in this film is completely different from stuff we've seen from him in other films. And his character keeps on evolving throughout the series. And what he did with Tom Holland in this film, that scene where they're talking or having the argument after the boat scene, like, you feel the emotion from both of them, and it's like, you don't expect to see that in these MCU films. And I mean, you don't go into them expecting some type of drama. You still see emotion, but
damn it,
I thought that scene was really well directed, really, really well shot. They both did a wonderful job, and I felt like their chemistry was a positive in this film.
Yeah. Yeah, but once again, I have another negative to add to that as well, and it's but
suit.
And by the way, the Sony PS4 suit definitely based off of that last suit at the end.
The last suit at the end is the Iron Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, such a beautiful suit.
Because the designs were pretty much, minus coloring, the designs were exactly like the
But okay, let me ask you this, and I just want to answer you yes or no. Are you still on the train that you think that they're in the same MCU?
I think
because
that, not, what do you mean? That the game is? That the game is?
No, it's in their own.
I think
no, I know, Brenden, you and I knew you were gonna say that, but
no, I think they're gonna have aspects of the MCU, because this movie, though has Sony's name attached to it, it's a Marvel Studios picture. It was all over it. There was nothing pertaining to as far as Sony except for like the intro and the little outro that but as far as production and what have you, and even it said clear as day, Marvel Studios film.
So, Brendan, we didn't hear you got garbled up there a little bit. What did you think about? Did you have any positives regarding the relationship with Tony Stark and Peter Parker?
I thought it was okay.
Okay. Before we go into too deep, let's go into some of the negatives because Lynn's racking them up over here. Lynn, start us off with some of your negatives, some of the things that you felt that they can improve.
Okay. One of my negatives, and it's a big one, is too many people know who the fuck Spider-Man is right now. And it's only the first film. We got his best friend, we got the villain of the film, which the villain you sort of expect it to come to some type of climax like that. And then at the end you get Aunt May finding out.
Which I love that line. What the and then
and then it cuts to the credits. But
which also have
no
Stark and Happy and Paltrow.
Well, yeah, because even Pepper Potts knew who the fucking kid was. I'm like, seriously? Whether she knows Peter as the person or just knows Spider-Man is a kid.
I think though
we don't know
in this
that.
Universe, I get where you're going though, Lynn. I get where you're going. I think though in this universe, when it first started, when Iron Man, Tony Stark said, "I am Iron Man" at the end of the first Iron Man, I think that this, it's just like happened in this film. Like Michael Keaton's character Toombs was listening to the story of this and like, oh, this cannot be a coincidence. Obviously, this kid's Spider-Man. It's like this would happen in normal life. You wouldn't just be like not suspecting this kid of being Spider-Man if he was gone missing, and all of a sudden Spider-Man shows up. It's like that. It's like that college humor thing about Batman, when the girl's like, "At least tell me who you are, Batman," and then.
No. I'm thinking more along the lines that they should. It's no matter what, you have to have the Superman type thing where nobody knows Superman just by a fucking pair of glasses. And to be honest, Spider-Man, a lot of his dual identity is based off of that. The little shy guy with glasses who nobody could even think could be Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, for one, body type, speed, agility, whatever the case. And then you get this scrawny, shy little guy that hardly talks, sticking to his book. That duality is something that I think should have at least had in there for the first film. They could have, opened it up a little bit more. I just don't want everybody under the fucking sun to know that, oh, look, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Because then they should have just had him do the press conference in the armor and then remove his mask, just like they did in Iron Man.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. Because outside the villain, how many people know? 2.
Aunt May, his best friend, Happy.
Tony Stark, they don't Pepper count. Potts. They're part of the.
Mary Jane. Well, MJ, because she's not really Mary Jane, because her name's fucking Michelle.
She doesn't know.
Which that's another thing.
She doesn't know.
No, they started to hint by it.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Happy, Iron Man, they're part. They're not citizens. They're not regular people. They're part of. Of course, they're going to know who he is, because So Aunt May's not going to tell anybody. Ned got close, fucked up a couple times, but he's his best friend. In that universe, I have to go with Sean. In that universe, it makes sense because he was especially wrestling with even like what he wanted to do at all. He had to talk to somebody. He didn't, of course, his opinions to why Aunt May didn't know was valid. So he really only one person knew for most of the film. And it was somebody in that universe because, again, he doesn't have spider sense. He doesn't have all that stuff. His suit's doing that. He had somebody to help. He would not have gotten help. And yet he would not have been able to do what he did without Ned's help. So I have to side with Sean. In that universe, it fits. Now, granted, if a crap ton of more people know, because the one thing I also liked was it kind of tied it off to where the next one really, honestly, it really doesn't need the Avengers at all.
Yeah,
it can be because he said he didn't want to join you. He's like, I'm gonna be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So I don't think too many people know.
Keep in mind,
I am okay with the amount of people that know.
Yeah, I'm okay with.
Keep in mind with them.
I understand where you're coming from, though, Lynn.
hold on, because they're planning on bringing in Black Cat into the Spider-Man
I know.
universe.
Whoa,
They're planning
let's stop
on.
right there. Hold on, time out. Black Cat and the Black and Silver, the Sable and Black Cat. That's different. That's not in this MCU. So let's not join that.
I'll believe it when I see it. Until it says they can still do Black Cat, whichever way. Just like they did 2 Quicksilvers, they can still do 2 Black Cats. Let's get that out of the way. They can still do Felicia Hardy. Okay, so and if you stick to her in a Spider-Man film, she's gonna find out who he is. So that's another person.
Then you're talking about. You said they're bringing it. So you're talking about the one they're talking about with Silver and Black. That is right now.
I'm not even referring to Silver and Black.
So let's.
We're complaining about the Spider-Man universe. We're talking about this film. Let's go back to this film.
So go.
Another thing, you don't have. No matter how much they try to change it, you don't have the great power comes great responsibility. You saw aspects of it with the boat, with him taking responsibility for that and him trying to get it through, but without the Uncle Ben in his head, I felt that part was lost. I know they tried to change that up with Tony Stark being the fatherly type, but at the same time he doesn't have that definitive role model that Uncle Ben was.
And I'll be a second, so keep talking.
Let me ask this, Lynn, regarding that point.
Because I don't see Tony Stark as that figure.
Let me ask you this, and this is answered any way we want. So for you then, let's say no matter what, you feel that needs to be in every Spider-Man movie then?
No. But the thing is, there was no reference to what gives Peter this reasoning, the reason why his characteristics are the way they are. And everybody under the sun should know that it's because of the upbringing between Uncle Ben and Aunt May that made him keep on. And from a mistake that he did, granted, I love the changes they did. He made a mistake with the boat, going after the Vulture by himself. He ends up paying for it. He ends up trying to solve it on his own. That's the whole great power with responsibility factor that they tried to essence. But it didn't come from a certain individual that made him say, this is why I have to do it. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. We haven't heard that, so that's why I was asking, do you need to hear that saying in every...
No. I just feel like it...
Because we kind of...
It has to be touched on very little.
We kind of got it in...
There was no... But there was no talk of Uncle Ben whatsoever.
Well, what he did was he alluded to it in Civil War when he said, when you let something happen, when you have the ability to stop it, it's your fault. And that's what he said in Civil War. Words to the effect, I'm missing a couple words in there. So he's alluding to losing Uncle Ben regarding that. And now in this one, that's why I'm asking you, do you need it? Because this is a new Spider-Man, new iteration. And this one is not an origin story, whatsoever. So that's what I'm saying. So you want...
Well, in a way, it still is.
Yeah, in a way it is. But for the most part, we're not showing us how he got his powers and not showing Uncle Ben dying and instilling that in him.
But even if not showing how he got his powers, he tells his friend how it happened.
Yeah, Spider.
I got bit by a spider. He was like, can I get bit by a spider? And, that whole conversation was to slim that down. So you still get an origin of how he got to where he was without actually backtracking or whatever the case may be.
Taking out to show it.
They could have done what they did with his spider bite and mentioned Uncle Ben in that aspect. It's like he had no uncle.
Well, they also mentioned Uncle Ben when they said when he was in the room with Ned, and they say, you can't tell her
what Aunt May's
after
been
what
through.
she's been through with.
But what she's been through, there's no mention.
And what she lost. So I mean, if you want to see more of an exposition regarding that, I mean, that's perfectly fine for you. So that's one of your...
No, it's more like, okay, Uncle Ben, because of the way he raised him and his beliefs, are the reason why Peter is the man he is. And because he lost this integral, central part of his life because of an accident that he did, it enforces him to become an even better person. You know what I mean? And that's the one aspect of Spidey I didn't get from this. I got the awkwardness, I got the self-determination and the never say die type attitude, which I love about him. But, you know, where's it coming from? And even if you just said it in a sentence, that you, like when you're doing a tie and he says, well, you know, I miss Ben for this, or I miss my uncle for this, because this is the stuff that I would have loved to have been sharing with him. I would have liked that. Just a simple little conversation that shows that it's still instilled upon him from his uncle.
Okay.
Nothing flashy, nothing big. It's just a little aspect of Spidey that I think was left out.
Okay. Anything else negative?
No, those were my two pet peeves. Oh, and then, of course, MJ. Michelle.
Okay.
Worst characterization ever.
Okay, so
I loved her attitude.
Worst
and
characterization
I
of
loved the
who?
different take on her.
MJ.
Michelle. I did not care for Michelle as far as what they were trying to do with her. Yeah, no, she's not Mary Jane. Because everybody said it before months ago. No, she's not Mary Jane. She's well, no, but at the end you get the whole, oh, my friends call me MJ.
I thought you didn't have any friends.
See, I like it. It's different. I don't
That's
want
what I like.
traditional everything.
Yeah, that's where we differ from you, Lynn. Is that a lot of the time when we talk about this stuff, you want everything from page to screen to be exactly the same. Where I
No. If you're going to bring MJ, bring MJ. You don't need to change her. They could have left her character, the way she wrote her lines, everything else, perfect. I love it.
Yeah, you also don't need to keep her.
She's her own.
There's no reason.
You also don't need to fucking call her Michelle if you're actually just going to put Mary Jane in a different
But also,
name.
you notice
they
only called her Michelle like I think once in the entire movie.
3 times.
Like once, maybe twice in the entire movie. They really rarely.
Teacher does. The girl that looked like Gwen Stacy does. Yeah, there's a couple people who've called her in it.
Yeah, it wasn't said a lot. So like even I don't think it was like hammered home that her name's Michelle. To be honest with you, at the end when she says, "But my friends call me MJ," that was the big moment.
It was a nod. It was a nice nod. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna 100% agree with you with this till the end of time. I like it.
But I don't care if you disagree with me on it. It's a personal fucking opinion, and that's what we're
what's
doing.
What's the part about this
Okay.
characterization, Lynn, that has the biggest issue for you? What's the?
No, it's just
Can I get into
her
my
character is
negatives now?
fine.
Yeah.
Her characterization was fine. I just don't think you need to pass off somebody, and then they could have just left her Michelle and give her a different last name. I would have appreciated that a little bit better. But the sticker with the nickname MJ, I would have loved it. If you're gonna go different the whole road. Don't just cheap out at the end and call her MJ just so you can have that Mary Jane reference.
Cheap?
So you still want?
You're cheaping out. You make this character completely different from anything that's ever been seen before. Then at the end you say, you know what? Let's throw this in so that way it could revert to no, because then you could use Mary Jane as maybe a love triangle thing later on with a different person, and Michelle could have been his.
Maybe there's a love triangle with Ned, Peter, and Michelle.
Ned's going to be the Green Goblin.
You never know.
Ned Osborn, because we don't get his last name.
Brenden,
right?
Tell us some of your negatives, some of the things that you wish they could improve upon.
I didn't have anything super major. A couple things. I felt it was a tad bit too long.
Okay.
Like just a little bit. There's I could see in places where there's a little bit of filler that could have been cut down. I couldn't name anything specific, but it felt long to me.
Yeah.
Also, it could have been because of where we were sitting, but a lot of, especially towards the end, the fighting, when he was fighting Vulture on the airplane, I had a hard time tracking what was going on. It felt like how Transformers is, where there's so much stuff going on, and it's so fast, where I was just like, wait, what? What? Oh, now he's over there. Oh, okay, now granted, I know Spider-Man's fast, but I've seen him fight, and I could, like, the scene in the ATM, with the ATMs, I could see that. I knew what was going on, but when they went into the air, I lost it a little bit.
Did you watch this in 3D?
No.
You did, right, Lynn?
Okay. Yeah, I did. And I got to say, to add on to you, I can see where you mean by that, because watching it in 3D, there was a lot of blurriness that I got, and that was just from the image movements. And like he said, it felt like everything was just like blurring on that fight scene, and some of the and you know, so I see that. So that's why I was wondering if you had watched it in 3D, because I did see
So-
No,
that.
after Resident Evil. What's the one where she fought Wesker in that white room on the tank or the ship?
Lynn's the only one that knows
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you're dicks.
on Earth.
What's the one that starts?
think it's
Is there
the
one that
fourth
starts with
one?
R?
Revolution or
No, the one with the where the giant guy with the hammer fought them in that locker room.
That was number 3 or 4. That was the one.
that was
I think it was 3.
That was where
but
Apocalypse.
That was the one with
Resident Evil
the
Apocalypse?
cameras that James Cameron had. The ones that the tech for the cameras that James Cameron developed. That's where they started using those cameras, the Phantom cameras. Right? Is that the one you're talking about?
yeah. But anyway, my whole point was the last 3D movie I saw was that one because I refused to see movies in 3D that aren't shot in 3D.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I saw this in 3D, and then I saw the last Transformers in 3D. Transformers. Now, to be fair, considering that he was mentioning how everything goes blurry, in the last Transformers film, that film was specifically filmed for 3D.
Well, no, the reason I say that is because like I took my glasses off and I noticed almost no difference because they added the 3D effects, and I'm like,
this is where I was going to go with my comparison between this and Transformers. Where in Transformers, if I rubbed my eye and I looked at the screen, I could see the division, but yet in Spider-Man, you know, I can flip up and down, and I saw no difference, and I still got a lot of that blurriness that you were talking about in the fight scene.
Now I don't know.
No, it wasn't blurry to me.
It was like everything was going too fast, and you couldn't keep
notice
up
what was
with
going on. I couldn't focus on it.
Right.
That's
Everything just looked.
There's a lot of movies when there's fast action, and you have to look left to right, and you have to actually move your eyeballs left to right. And those kind of movies, if you're watching in 3D, it's not going to be beneficial to watch that type of film in 3D. So that's one of those things about this type of film. And I don't know if it's normal, but we all stayed for after the end credit scenes, which we'll get into in a little bit. But when I was watching them, I was looking at what was coming, what was scrolling through, and there was multiple conversion teams from different companies to convert this film into 3D. So I don't know if that's normal or not. If maybe that had an effect on the 3D issue as a whole. So
it's possible.
And like I said, I don't know if that's normal or not. But I noticed there was multiple companies doing conversions to 3D. So I just throw that out there. That possibly could be an issue.
I thought of one more I did like, and it stuck in the back of my head throughout the whole film, but I loved it. In the very beginning, when they're doing the morning announcements, and that guy asked that girl to prom, and it focuses on his face, and he felt he looked so legitimately crushed.
Oh man!
And
I already have a date, Jason.
And then he's just like,
yeah, but even when
he's playing it off like
even when they're
but he's dying inside.
Yeah.
But they were the same way when they were thanking Spider-Man and they were showing Spider-Man. They were
thanking you, Spider-Man. And you could see in his face, that just soul-crushing deadness behind the eyes.
That was
why did
I also, going back to characters, I also didn't care for Flash too much, and I was glad that Peter stole his car.
That is a negative for me, actually. I am not happy with the kid that they cast as Flash Thompson. He's not posing.
Yeah.
He's the same type of kid as they are, a super nerd. He just happens to have more money. I want Flash Thompson to be some kind of.
I want the jock.
I want a more imposing person that threatens Peter as who he is as a person in high school.
And at the same time, show that there is still that possibility of him becoming Peter's friend down the line.
Yeah, in this aspect,
you know what I mean?
I see a dick who's spoiled, and he's still going to the same smart school that they are. But he's
which there's no explanation as to why he's there, because he's not as smart as any of them there. Because during the whole battle, the test bowl, he didn't answer a single fucking question right, let alone Flash is wrong. He's fucking great. But why is he there? If he's not there on a sports,
Yeah.
scholarship or
I'll
anything
say
like that, he has no purpose.
That's probably the only negative I had for this movie. I'll be honest with you, was that who they cast as Flash and how they developed Flash as a character.
I didn't. There wasn't enough Donald Glover.
Oh, I like Donald Glover. I liked his character.
Wasn't enough.
And here's the thing about Donald Glover is, and they Kevin Feige's confirmed this last week. I spoke about it on Real News. Is that he confirmed that is Miles Morales' uncle. So Miles Morales does exist in the MCU somewhere. We just haven't seen him.
So that's going to be
might even be at the school.
Like, hey, I met Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might even be at the same school.
Maybe. Yeah.
For all we know.
Yeah, for all we know. So I love that character being in there. What's his name? His character name is Davis. I have it right here. Donald Glover, Aaron Davis. Yeah, and so apparently that's actually the name of Miles Morales' uncle in the comic, right? I don't read the comic, so you guys will have to fill me in there. Let's get to kind of an overall, like some of the things we really liked. Severe spoilers. What did you guys think of the end credit stuff?
Define like the actual end when Aunt May swore, or the after credits.
So you had
the
two
after
scenes.
credits.
You had two end credit
There
scenes.
was two. We only stayed for one.
Yeah, there was the
Brenden, you have to have
prison.
patience, Brenden.
There's two.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What happened in the second one?
The second one is at the end credits, and you get to the white screen, and you have Captain America there, and he is
talking about
having patience, even though it might not amount to anything.
Yeah. It was an end credit just to be an end credit. And it was just like another one of those Captain America VHS tapes. And he's talking to you as if you're in school. And he says, sometimes you have to learn patience and wait for things. Even though if it doesn't amount to anything in the future. It's good to learn to just wait till the final ending of something. And I thought it was funny because by this time, Ronan was at the point that he wanted to go. He's like, why do we always have to stay to the end? I said, because there's always something at the end. Be patient, Ronan. And then up popped Cap and started talking about patience.
Maybe he was also talking to you about what they're going to do about the next ones, and just have patience and wait and see what they're going to do with it.
See, I thought it was more of a jab at us for always being in that culture of us expecting these end credit scenes. And then, so I thought that was a hilarious meta little commentary end credit scene.
Or it could also be a jab at those that just turn around, read the reviews with the end credits talked about and say, man, just sit and wait for it. Be patient.
Yep.
Find out about it on your own. Don't rush out just because you want to rush out and do something.
Yeah, and so I liked it. The other end credit scene was when Vulture was in prison and he runs up with Grogan again. And Grogan has, I think one side of his arm is all jacked up with stuff.
Yeah, with some like pins
sticking out of the skin. Like, I'm assuming he broke his arm like completely when the car hit him, shattered it. So
and half his face was scarred.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
and they tend to focus on his face more because on his neck is where you see the actual scorpion tattoo. And he was trying to get Looms to tell him who Spider-Man was.
Yeah, so it was a good one. I was hoping for it to. What it did well though is it pushes the Spider-Man story forward, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I like that. I'm gonna say one of the big surprises that I had in this film was Ned. Ned was freaking awesome. Do you spit venom? Do you lay eggs? Do you all the questions?
See, that goes to my original point. They freaking nailed high school. They nailed it.
Yes, perfect.
Like,
I love.
But you know who Ned reminded me of that I sort of liked, and he actually belongs to a different Marvel Universe character.
Isn't he with Miles Morales? That character?
No. But what I'm saying is his character, the man in the seat, the man in the chair.
Man in the chair.
Is a lot of reference to the Punisher and Microchip. Microchip is the one who's always feeding him information on how many guys there is and feeding him which way to go. And I love that because, of course, Punisher first appearance, Spider-Man, going after Bullseye and Elektra. So that's a sort of nod there that I sort of took. He's like, oh, that's
and
cool.
I think
so he has his own microchip.
I think in the comics he is part of the Miles Morales, storyline, Brendan. So I think you're right on that part. But yeah, I thought Ned was hilarious. I thought he was awesome. He drops the Death Star like 3,852 pieces. That's so cool, and he drops it after he's like, two-thirds of the way done with it, because his best friend is Spider.
I will agree with Lynn a bit on the Stark Peter relationship. That felt kind of forced, fake to me. But Ned and Peter felt like they were like good friends. Like you totally see them hanging out.
Yeah.
And,
Ned was the perfect example of what Harry should have always been with Peter.
Yeah.
Because Peter and Harry Osborn, that's the type of relationship they had. They were like inseparable, and you didn't get that from the Harry and Peter in the first.
In either of them, Harry and Peter, you don't get it from either of them that they're best friends. Like there's always tension. It's like I don't get their friendship to begin with.
You know why?
Ones or the Andrew Garfield ones, but Ned.
You know why though, right?
Why?
Because Harry didn't follow the bro code.
Yeah, he didn't. Well,
he told Snake his best friend's love interest.
Yeah, never do that. But I don't. Ned was awesome. He was a huge surprise to me. I was actually worried about Ned going into the film. I was wondering if some of the things he was going to say and do in there was going to, hit my funny bone. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. What he said. He was always funny. Like when he turns around with his hat. It gives me confidence, and he waves bye to Aunt May.
I bet you're fucking up the screen there, Brendan.
Hold on.
I thought Ned was a huge surprise to me because I was worried about his character going into the film.
It's funny, I was seeing a previous review by somebody, and I'm not even going to mention the website that they're from, and this guy supposedly is a reviewer, but the last 3 reviews I've seen, he's trashed them all, including this movie. He called this movie shallow. I don't see where he saw it was being shallow. He said that there's no explanation as to why MJ is black and Ned's Polynesian or whatever.
Sounds like he has
case. Why should
issue with color?
Right, and I'm like, why should that be an issue? They're all going to a magnet type smart school. Yeah. It shouldn't matter what their nationalities are. You know what I mean? And what I did appreciate about Peter's school overall is that not everybody was higher up on a food chain, except for Flash, who thought himself to be higher up. Everybody, because of the school they go to, is pretty much on the same level. So it made it so that Peter's not the oddball out. To me, Flash was the.
And here's the thing: is that we see that school they're going to, they have a football field and they have sports over there. But why didn't we see Flash doing any of that? That's why I was like not happy with.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
That's why I was not happy with
his
Flash.
Character.
So,
my surprising thing that I loved, and it's totally a jab at the Spider-Man video games, is when he's running through the field, the open field, and he shoots his webbing up into the air and it doesn't touch anything. He's like, "Oh, this sucks." So he's running across, and I'm like, "Oh, that is such a video game reference. Nobody's gonna catch that." Because in the video games, of course, he's attaching to everything, completely nothing in the sky.
Yeah, I liked what they did with the web swinging though, and like even when he's going through the neighborhoods, he's not getting very high off the ground because all he has around him are trees.
Trees and rooftops.
Yeah, trees and rooftops. So he can't get very high, unless he pulls himself or something like that. So I like that. Brendan, any surprises or anything that we've missed that you could think of that's coming to mind?
Not that I can think of. It's okay. I got my overall.
All right, so Lynn, start us with your overall and give us a grade.
overall, definitely, I'm probably going to end up seeing it again. This time I'm going to actually use my free coupon to see it. But it's definitely something you guys can't miss. Definitely the only movie I could say this summer is a can't miss as far as the quote-unquote blockbuster. So definitely see it. Solid A effort. I can't wait for more. I can't wait to see Tom Holland's pull off more. I hope they do another film with the Rhino done right, because I'd appreciate that's an underused villain and should be done right instead of that crap they gave us in the Andrew Garfield films. So I'm looking forward to see what villains they use, and I hope they use them well.
Brenden,
Yes.
overall on a grade.
Overall, I liked it. It was definitely it's going to be one of my top favorite Marvel movies ever.
Nice.
Definitely my new favorite Spider-Man. I like it better than Spider-Man 2.
That's. Whew. I walked out of the movie wondering that.
No, okay, because the way I look at it, the original Spider-Man trilogy was a product of its time. It was definitely one of the first. It was well done for what it was. It's a little bit dated now, and you can get why Spider-Man 3 happened, because they didn't know what they were doing. The Amazing Spider-Mans were trying to do too much. It had the look and style they were going for, but they didn't nail it because they tried too much. This one nailed everything overall, at least for me. So I would definitely give it a solid A.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, real quick before you do your overall grade, I forgot to mention the tease that I referred to about the third villain. In the Stark Tech that's in the plane, when Vulture's walking around and you see the armor and what have you, in one of the cages you see a Doc Ock arm.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't
Whether it's
see that.
it's a row of the metal that's exactly like, and at the end it's closed but it's balled up like the claw, but it's the full octopus type. Whether it's just the one, but it's I don't know if it was just meant to be there or just like a tease or what have you, the case may be. But it was something I caught right off the bat when he was looking through the
when Happy was reading through the manifest, I was listening very intently, trying to hear, is he going to give us a little tease of something in there?
Yeah.
I didn't catch the sight of it though.
Yeah, if you watch it again, definitely look for that when he's walking through, looking at the armor and opening the boxes. You'll see it in one of the cages.
So overall, for myself, I definitely, I like I said, I was walking out of this film wondering, is this better than Spider-Man 2? And part of me wants to say no, but I think that's the nostalgic part of me, and I'm a very big opponent of using nostalgia to base what's good and what's not good. And so with that being said, I do think this is now my favorite Spider-Man film. I give it an A. This is one of those films where you see it twice in the theater. It's not just a one-time viewing in the theater. You go in there. I went into it and I was happy with all the music, all the feeling of high school they give. And even when you go back to the 80s John Hugh movies, you're in high school and you have a good feeling of this high school camaraderie. But you look at him and you're like, that dude's like 25. That chick's like 26, 27. This was started filming when Tom Holland was 18 years old. So he still looks like a young little teenager. He still pulls off a 14, 15-year-old kid. I loved what they did with this. Like Brenden said, they nailed it on all fronts. My dislikes with this were very minuscule, and they can definitely be corrected or improved upon. It's not something that ruins the film. I give it an A. It's going to be up there with some of the best Marvel movies today.
And to be fair, John Hughes used teenagers for all his films. They weren't in their they were not all adults.
They looked old.
They did. Some of them did, yeah. But
like,
Ferris, no. Cameron, no.
Cameron was 29 when he. Cameron was.
When he did Ferris?
Yeah, he was 29.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was 29. I always that's like a Trivial Pursuit quote I have in my.
So he was the oldest used because everybody else was pretty much that was their first film or whatever the case may be. Especially like Molly Ringwald.
That's like a Trivial Pursuit thing I found out a while, like years ago. Cameron was 29
nuts.
when they did Ferris Bueller.
That's fucking nuts.
So yeah, I had an amazing time with this. You go into this film, and I tried my best to stay away from a lot of trailers and stuff like that, but my urge to watch them overwhelmed that, and I was like, oh, if one's on, I was like, I didn't push fast forward all the time through DVR of it. So I had a high expectation, and this clearly met that high expectation for the film. Any last words, you guys?
Just go see it. Don't miss out on this. Don't wait for it to be on Blu-ray. Don't try to, find other means to watch it. Just definitely go see it in theaters. See it the best. Do it the best way possible you can. I wouldn't suggest seeing this in 3D. It's definitely not a game changer. Watch it. Yeah, just watch it on a big screen. Definitely.
With that,
watch it. And
it's a feel-good movie.
With that being said,
yes.
To add on to that, it's everything as much as CGI that they use in this. They do a good job of keeping it practical, so it doesn't need that 3D stuff. So. Yeah. Anyway, so you guys, thank you for joining us. Lynn, Brenden, say your goodbyes. Brenden.
Goodbye.
Lynn.
Well, considering you only see a gray spot for Brenden. See you guys later. Thanks once again.
All right, you guys.
Awesome experience.
Thank you for joining us. For Lynn, for Brenden, or Mr. Gray Spot. I don't even know what you're looking at, Lynn, because I have neither of you on my screen.
I see a gray spot just like with the circle, like trying to load his face.
Well, there. I see his face.
And now we got. There you go. And then next to him, I got half of your shoulder because since he's sideways, he messed up his box.
I always get my.
You'll see it.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate all comments and feedbacks. For Lynn, for Brenden, myself, we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Go listen to the latest episode. It's up.
Yes. Go check out the latest episode of the podcast.
And also pay attention to his Real News.
Real News. It's the last end of the podcast. Last week's episode of Real News. Awesome. And movie of the week coming out tomorrow.